Hey, welcome. We're about to dive into something really fascinating today. A subtle detail in the Gospels that, honestly, most of us just read right past. But once you see it, it can pretty much change how you think about spiritual teaching altogether.
It all comes down to this one simple, kind of puzzling question. Why were there two completely different ways that Jesus taught? And asking that really gets to the heart of what it means to truly know something.
So, to crack this puzzle, the key isn't just looking at what was taught, but how it was taught. And maybe most importantly, to who.
Okay, so first, you've got the huge crowds that followed him. For them, he spoke in parables. You know, these are the stories we all recognize. Super relatable images from everyday life. A farmer planting seeds, a shepherd looking for a lost sheep. They were powerful, easy to remember, and anyone could get the basic picture.
But then, and this is where it gets interesting, the Gospels tell us that something else would happen later, behind closed doors. When he was alone with just his inner circle, the disciples, he would explain what those parables really meant. So the story itself was for everyone, but the deeper meaning? That was kept private.
Right there, you have two very distinct levels of communication. Let's call them an outer teaching and an inner understanding.
And this table here just lays it all out, plain and simple. On one side, you have the outer teaching, public stories meant for the crowds. And on the other, the inner understanding, private explanations, just for the disciples. It's a really clear, really deliberate separation of who gets what and how.
Now, I know what you're probably thinking. In our world today, this whole idea can feel a little off, maybe even unfair, right? We're all about open access. We kind of believe that the highest truth should be available to everybody instantly. So, why the two tiers?
Well, the perspective we're exploring today suggests an answer that really challenges our modern assumptions. It argues that some kinds of knowledge simply can't be received until we're actually ready for them.
The philosopher Rudolph Steiner put this idea perfectly. He argued that this kind of tiered approach isn't some weird spiritual secret, it's actually a fundamental principle of all learning. As he says here, you just don't hand a child advanced math on their first day of school.
And let's make that super concrete. Just think about learning math. You can't just dive into theoretical physics. It's impossible. You have to start with basic arithmetic, then you build on that with algebra, then you move on to calculus. Each step literally develops the capacity you need to understand the next one. It's a progression. You have to climb the ladder.
So that leads to a pretty crucial question, doesn't it? If we totally accept that you need a step-by-step path to understand the physical world, why on earth would we think that understanding the soul, the cosmos, or the divine would be any less demanding?
And, this idea of preparing yourself for knowledge isn't new at all. In fact, it has deep roots in a much, much older tradition, the ancient mysteries.
And this is such a vital shift in how we look at this. In those ancient traditions, the deepest truths weren't hidden to create some kind of elite club. No way. They were protected. Protected from being misunderstood, sure, but also protected from overwhelming someone who just wasn't ready to handle them.
That was the whole point of the ancient mystery schools. They weren't just places to get information, they were basically training grounds for the soul. A student would pass through different stages of development, gradually earning the ability to perceive deeper realities. You had to grow into it.
And this idea pops up directly in the Gospels. When Jesus tells his disciples, "To you it has been given to know the mysteries of the kingdom," he's basically acknowledging that they've reached that next stage. They're ready.
But here's the absolute key. It wasn't given to them because they were some kind of special, chosen favorites. Not at all. It was given to them because they had put in the work. They had followed, they had listened, they had questioned, they had prepared themselves to receive it.
So, all of this leads us to a really powerful conclusion. And it's one that kind of shifts the focus away from an ancient text and toward a really personal question about our own ability to understand.
And here's the big takeaway. The highest truths, they aren't like a data file that you can just download from the internet straight into your brain. It just doesn't work like that. Instead, it's more like a landscape, a reality that's all around us. And understanding it isn't about collecting more information, it's about developing new inner faculties, like new eyes and ears that are needed to actually perceive what's already there.
And that leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. Maybe the mysteries of the Spirit aren't hidden from us at all. Maybe they're all around us right now in plain sight. And the only real question is, have we developed the eyes to see them yet?